Welcome to Ceramics with Mr. Bosmo. A ceramic bust, adding bulk clay over an armature. First of all, make sure you have your reference photo available. I've used a highlighter to draw some lines to indicate the direction of the flow of the major forms of my figure in profile. I've got to look at my armature and kind of decide which way is going to be the best for the front and the back. And as I built my armature, I kind of pushed it forward a little bit to make that neck thrust the right way. So obviously that would be backwards. Wanting it to go this way, so those shoulders thrust forward a little bit, the neck thrusts forward a little bit. I've already got a bit of armature bulk for the back of the head. And then I'm going to begin just by ripping off chunks of clay, starting at the bottom of my armature, and just pressing those pieces of clay into position, making sure that they're firmly attached to the armature and the base, and that they're firmly attached to one another. The really important thing here is going to be avoiding air pockets as you go. So each time you're adding more clay, you're firmly pressing it, you're mushing it together, and you're not leaving big open voids. You don't need to score and slip here because you are going to completely and totally mush every piece of clay together. They're not just going to be sort of free hanging there. I'm going for, at least an inch of thickness everywhere with the clay. Thinner than that, and when I go to hollow this out and remove the armature, things will start to fall apart. And as we get further into the bust project, you will add even more clay, but at a minimum, we're going for about an inch. And you can see I'm just working my way all the way around the base here, adding pieces of clay and smoothing them into position. You'll also notice it's quite rough. So here I'm pausing just to check my reference photo, and I'm looking at the way that the shoulders kind of thrust forward a little bit and making sure that I'm working in that direction. So if you need to, you might have to add more clay down at the base to get that forward thrust in the shoulders. Or here I'm adding a touch more at the bottom of the chest. Now I'm moving my way up towards the neck, and I'm checking my reference again and noticing that neck pitches forward at a significant angle. It's not straight up and down like our ruler that's inside of the armature, so depending on how your armature was built, you might have to add more or less clay to the bottom or top on the front or back of the neck. So I've added some extra clay at the back in the bottom and at the top in the front. And then here I'm starting to bulk out the back of the cranium. So I'm going to check my reference photo again, and I can see that cranium, it really bulges out quite a bit. It's not straight up, so I need to add a significant amount of clay there to get that roundness, to get that bulk at the back of the head. And I'm also noting that the chin is going to thrust forward a lot. There's inches of chin that stick out in front of that neck. So to begin with, I'm getting clay over the entire head. The chin's protruding a little bit. Now, when I check my reference, notice that chin, how much that sticks out. It's going to be different on every person, and depending on the pose that they're sitting in. But my figure, the chin thrusts out a few inches, so I am adding a significant amount of clay to the front of that face. Now, the danger here is that if you build too quickly, it may start to sag. Mine's staying pretty firm for me. But if it does start to sag forward, you may want to put a prop of some kind underneath that chin, perhaps a stack of clay or another ruler. And now that I have most of the clay bulked on, I'm just going over with my fingers and really trying to connect and fill in gaps a little bit more. I'm not going for smoothness here. I'm just going for all of that clay being connected and bonded as a single surface and trying to get rid of some of the major dents and cracks and crevices. I'm also building out a little more clay to show the jawbone. Not too concerned yet about proportions or where the facial features are going to be. I'm just looking for the overall form of the skull, the thrust of the neck, and the shoulders. Once we get it to this point, it's going to need to sit and start to get a little more leather hard. Not completely leather hard, but we want it to be a little drier so that it's not going to want to sag forward.